Welcome to KKKW News. My name is Boss Roy, and this is my co-host, Phil McCracken. In recent news, many Americans have become quite alarmed by the epically large amount of debt that the U.S. government has undertook, and many are wondering how we will ever be able to repay it. Now, Phil McCracken will explain our current situation. Hi, Phil.
Hi, boss. The government is currently spending $15.7 trillion in debt. This is a massive amount of debt that exceeds the total GDP of $15.1 trillion. The GDP, or Gross Domestic Product, accounts for the total income of the United States earns every year. Now, many of you may be wondering how we got ourselves into such a massive hole, but when you look at the statistics, the answer is quite simple.
You see, the U.S. government spends roughly $3.6 trillion a year. We spend this money on national defense, infrastructure, welfare programs, and many other things. However, Uncle Sam is only bringing in about $2.2 trillion in taxes every year. This leaves a huge gap